Talking SEC football here on Southeastern 14. I'm Chase Robinson. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We're going to talk three biggest SEC games coming up in 2024 for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Before we dive into that, though, I want to remind you BetOnline is your number one source for all of your summer sports this season. MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats, news, scores available to you and your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head over to their website or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet online where the game starts. So we're sitting here getting ready for the SEC football season to get going in August. We're a few months away, but it's never too early to start talking SEC football. So we're going to take a look at all 16 SEC teams over the next couple of months to look at the three biggest SEC games for each team. And we're going to start with the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's a new era of Alabama football that we'll see take the field for the 2024 season. I feel like Alabama's not going anywhere based off of where they've built this program, the talent they have. Yes, it's a new coaching staff, but I think it's going to be a very successful coaching staff. But I feel like to an extent, this Alabama team has got to be on a mission this year to prove themselves, to prove to the rest of college football that they are still in contention for the SEC, that they are still in contention for the college football playoffs. And so I think there's going to be several key games for Alabama this year where they can help prove themselves, where they can show that they still belong at the top of college football. And I'm not saying Alabama's going to continue to win the national championship every year and be at the top of college football. No, there's plenty of other teams that can do that can be at the top of college football, because that's just how college football is changing right now. But I certainly think Alabama is going to be in contention each and every year for the college football playoff. I don't think that is going to change anytime soon. But three biggest games for Alabama this year in the SEC. I think the first one, it's going to be a big test on September 28th as the Georgia Bulldogs come to Bryant-Denny Stadium to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, that's almost as far as you have to go. Georgia coming to Alabama. This will be the first SEC game for Kalen DeBoer and Alabama in 2024. What a way to start off conference play. What a way to an opponent for your first SEC game, Kalen DeBoer. This is going to be a whole new world. It's a good thing, I think, the game is in Tuscaloosa. We have seen some great, in season, a lot of the late Alabama-Georgia games we've seen in postseason, whether at SEC championship games or in national championships. But I think we've seen some really great in-season games, and I think that this could be one of those as well. Georgia is going to make this not feel like a home crowd inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. There's going to be a lot of Georgia fans there, I imagine, and finding their way in Tuscaloosa. But this is going to be two really good teams playing each other, and it's going to be very entertaining. And what a way to start off SEC play for Alabama. With the new format with the 12-team playoff, I think with this game, it helps, though, that I'm not going to say this is a must-win game for either team to get into the playoff like we would have said last year or even the year before last or the last 5 years. If they had played this game in the middle of the year last year, the team that lost very well could have lost a chance at the college football playoff. I don't think that's the chance this year with it spanning to 12 teams. I think whoever wins this game, yes, has a great shot of getting in. Whoever loses this game, I think still has a pretty good shot at getting into the college football playoffs. So in years past, we would have said this is kind of a make or break game. It's still, it kind of has that twist to it, but it's not going to keep a team out of the playoff. I don't think, but obviously you lose this game, you're behind the 8 ball in the SEC. And so for Alabama, you have the toughest team in the SEC to start your conference slate off, but it's going to be an early wake-up call in the season for the Crimson Tide. First SEC game, you got the Georgia Bulldogs rolling into town, and Georgia, again, will probably be one of the best teams in college football, as they have been the last few years. So I think that's the biggest, one of the biggest games is the Georgia at Alabama on September the 28th. Another big one on October the 19th, the Crimson Tide makes their way up to Knoxville, Tennessee. So let's go back in time a little bit, a couple of years. Let's think back to the last time Alabama made that trip up to Knoxville. It ended in a last-second field goal from the Vols and a 52-49 win. The goalpost ended up in the river out by Neyland Stadium. So the Tennessee fans are remember that one very well of Tennessee's win, 52-49 over Alabama back in 2022. Alabama doesn't want to see that happen again, and this is a big rivalry game. A lot of people know that Alabama, Tennessee, third Saturday in October, but I think if you ask a lot of Alabama fans, they would put this game right up or even maybe above the Iron Bowl of wanting to see Alabama beat Tennessee. And so there's still that bad taste in their mouth from last time they were in Knoxville. That was one of the two games they lost by combined 4 points that year. And I think this game, third Saturday in October, is going to be so much more going up there to kind of get that bad taste out of your mouth. Tennessee's going to be very good offensively. I think, Alabama is going to have some great pieces as well. But I think this would be a really good game. We have seen some classic Alabama-Tennessee games. We went a long stretch without seeing a classic Alabama-Tennessee game. But we did a couple of years ago, and then you think back to the early 2000s, late 90s, some really good Alabama-Tennessee games, and I think we're back in that where we're going to see some fun third Saturday in October games. But I think that's one to mark on your calendar and one of the biggest games for Alabama. One, you want to go up there and kind of not let what happened to you in 22 happen again, but also this is one of those games you have got to win if you want to be in contention for the SEC, because Tennessee's going to be up there. And I think they're going to be, one of the top few teams in the SEC. So Alabama needs to go up to Knoxville, needs to get a big win in a very tough environment if they want a chance at the SEC championship, if they want a chance back in the college football playoff. The third biggest game, I think, for Alabama, if you look at the schedule right now, is their trip on November the 9th to Baton Rouge. So we just talked about the Tennessee game for Alabama back in 2022. Their last trip to Baton Rouge ended in the Tigers electing to go for a 2-point conversion in overtime. They got it. 32-31 was the final. And again, that was the second Alabama loss by a total of 4 points. We have seen some classics between Alabama and LSU. It's been one of the, everybody looks forward to the Alabama LSU game every year. I think this is big for Alabama this season. One, because of what happened at Baton Rouge last time the Tide went there. But this is one of those late season games where both teams are going to be playing probably their best football. And this is going to be a playoff-like game with two good teams. You've got to win. You got to win a game like this if you want to get into the college football playoff. And again, November football is very important football, and they're going to have a lot on the line. There always is a lot on the line in this game, and you need to win this to get a shot at the playoffs. It's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. We've seen that in so many Alabama LSU games. But I would say Alabama at LSU on November the 9th is going to be a very important game for the Crimson Tide. So my first one, Georgia at Alabama, is a home game for Alabama, but it's just kind of starting off the SEC slate on the right note. And even if you don't win that one, it's okay. I think you still have a shot to the playoffs if you can get a win at Tennessee, if you can get a win at LSU. But this certainly is going to be a fun SEC schedule for the Crimson Tide, and I'm looking forward to what we'll see with Alabama. Looking at their schedule as a whole, they're hosting Western Kentucky to get the season started. They host South Florida before going to Wisconsin on September the 14th. Then the SEC slate starts with Georgia. They'll go to Vanderbilt, hosting South Carolina, to Tennessee, hosting Missouri, to LSU. They host Mercer. They go to Norman, to take on the Oklahoma Sooners. And then in the season, as always, in the Iron Bowl, which will be in Tuscaloosa this year against Auburn. But at Georgia and Alabama game, Alabama at Tennessee, and Alabama at LSU, I think those are the three biggest games as far as the SEC slate goes for the Crimson Tide in 2024. We have you covered on all things SEC football. So go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Southeastern 14. Like this video, drop your comments below, and also you can follow us on Twitter at 14 Southeastern. We got you covered all things SEC football.